Sato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityorma amritam gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Today we are going to study karma and mind management. And we are also going to study the types of karma, effects of karma, and how to get out of this karma chakra, karma bandhan, jo kehte hain. So we will be studying all these points. Last time, after the last session, one student asked me about how to meet deadlines, time management, basically. And I think you asked the question. So the thing is, you see, his question was, as a PhD student, you have to meet deadlines on a regular basis, and sometimes we can't meet them. Why? Although we try, we can't do it. So it's a problem in time management. But you know, at the heart of all these, whether you call it time management or stress management or anger management, it is all about, there are different facets of mind management. ये आपको थोड़ा strange लगता होगा. How are they related to mind management? Because just for instance, take your experience of time. You know, there is a something called a linear flow of time and a psychological time. Psychological time alone you experience. You experience time as your mind records it. And you know what that experience is based upon? It is based upon the movement of your thought. See, this is the wonderful thing about time. Psychological time is the only kind of time you experience, and that depends on the movement of your thought. If your thought is, say, very erratic, uncontrolled, then you know your sense of time, it just stretches out. If you are very concentrated, time gets compressed as it were. या आपने देखा है पढ़ाई के समय, have you seen this phenomenon? If you are absorbed deeply in something, say in a math problem, even 4 or 5 hours might pass and you don't realize it. What has happened to time? Same time has flown, but time just flew for you. And if you are not absorbed in something, maybe some class is very boring, you are not getting absorbed in anything, then time hangs heavy on you. Same time. But why does this happen? Time depends on the movement of your thought. Rather, the recording of time depends on the equipment, the mind, which is characterized by thought. So the nature and quality of your thought decides your experience of time. So also with the other things. And that's why we in general will study mind management in order to learn about stress management, time management, anger management, all these managements. Because if you can manage your mind and the thought process, you can manage all of this. Do you understand this phenomenon? It's happening every day in our lives. See, when you go home over the weekend now, though then it will be like 2 minutes for you. And sometimes when you are in a place where you have to put in a lot of labor, you don't like that much, that time just hangs heavy on you. So on an everyday basis, we are experiencing these kind of phenomena, which means very simply, the instrument which is recording time, space and causation is the instrument which influences your experience of time, space and causation. समझ में आ रहा है ये बात? You see, it's a subtle point. So if you are able to handle that instrument well, your experience of time will change. If you stop the thought process, what happens to time? Stop. Time stops. Very good. Does it happen to you every day? Every day, do you stop thought at any time? Which means your experience of time. It happens in deep sleep, isn't it? No thoughts, no time. When you get up in the morning, you don't know whether you slept 4 hours or 5 hours or 6 hours. No sense of time because no movement of thought. What does this mean? The same thing which I am telling you. Your experience of time, which is psychological time, is entirely dependent upon the movement of your thoughts, the thought process, and if you get that under control, your experience of time will change. So यही हम देखेंगे. You see, this is what yoga tries to do for you. क्यों कहते हैं थोड़ा सा 5 minutes of yoga practice every day, so that you are better able to handle your thought process. If periodically you stop it a bit, at least a few fractions of a second, you stay apart from your thought, you are just seeing what is happening in the mind. You get a certain hold over your mind. You get a certain hold over your experience of life, which includes time. So this is the great thing about yoga, you take the whole experience into your hands. If you actually stall time, you stall the mind, the thought process, you stop time. So there are small methods. You see, at the end of this course, the last session, I will give you a small meditation technique which will be very useful to you, how exactly to handle the mind to better our experience of life. But today, this much you should understand, mind management is directly related to managing everything else in your life. And that is why you must get a hold over mind management. Intense levels of concentration, keeping the will in one direction, not constantly changing directions, and bringing in so much of enthusiasm and energy at the task at hand. All this ensures your success in life, isn't it? More than how much you are exposed to what you are taking in, more than all of that, how you handle this equipment is very important for the acquisition of knowledge, for success in life. And that is how we will be studying mind management here. If your own mind is restless, you know what happens? Don't think you become very dynamic. Restless people are not dynamic people. They are just wasting their energy because they can't control the thought process at all. Restlessness is not dynamicity. So if the mind is calm, collected and directed in one direction, going in one direction, then you can generate enormous levels of energy. If it is calm, collected, composed, Vivekananda used to always say this, knowledge depends upon calmness of the mind. So we will try to see how you are able to generate these states, and in a way, actually you see the very definition of dynamicity is intensity of consciously directed energy. Being dynamic means being this. So much of an, आप एक laser को ही देखो ना. What is a laser? Laser beam? It is intense concentration of photons, isn't it? You can do so much work with it. And you can even actually slice very delicate tissue. You can do very sensitive work with it. So also are your mental faculties. If they are sharpened, honed in one direction, concentrated, then you can do enormous work, marvelous work with it. So that is why mind management is very important for success in life. Success ऐसे ही नहीं आता है. A certain amount of your contribution from your side, the subjective side, is required to ensure success. Just changing outside things doesn't get you this success. Now let me tell you this, there are 4 faculties of the mind. For those of you who have attended the last course, I showed you those 4 faculties on a slide. What are they? Can you tell me? Manas, Buddhi, Chitta, Ahankar. ये 4 faculties होते हैं मन के. What is the meaning of manas? It is that part of your mind which is cogitating. Sankalpa vikalpatmika antakarana vritti ko manas कहते हैं. Which is always thinking the pros and cons of things, changing. Thinking mind is manas. Okay? This is just one part of your mind, one functional aspect of your mind, you can say. And the next one is buddhi, nishchayatmika antakarana vritti, which means the determinative faculty of your mind, which decides upon something. When the entire antakaran determines something, it will not budge from that point. Then it has become buddhi. You see the same mind, how it modifies itself into different faculties for different functions. And then you have ahamatmika antakarana vritti, the ahankar, the I sense in you. ये जो unconsciously in a deep way, a sense of I, individuality is rising within you, the I sense, इसको हम एक रूप देते हैं, ego we call it. And many times we are identified with that ego without realizing what it means. without understanding what it represents. But anyway, this vritti also is there, ahamatmika antakarana vritti, which is called ahankar. And then the fourth is anusandhanatmika antakarana vritti. You have a huge memory bank within you. The conscious thoughts which you have thought in the past, all of this together, where are they? They are in your memory. Whenever you require them, or it is required for any particular situation, they just pop from your subconscious and unconscious minds, isn't it? That is your memory, chittam. So these are different aspects of your mind. Now I told you stress management, time management, all this depends upon mind management. If I can't handle these four faculties to my benefit, if thought process is just going on, I am not in charge. ये होता है ना अक्सर, thoughts are happening or well, am I thinking or thoughts are happening? Thoughts are usually happening, going on. I have no, well, I am not in charge. I am just seeing what is happening. When it becomes terrible, then I feel अरे कुछ करना चाहिए इसके बारे में. So योग का मतलब है this entire thought process you are able to bring it, you first survey it, bring it into your hands so that you are thinking the thoughts you want to think. You see what a marvelous state this must be. You are only aware and you bring in that thought which you want, which is useful to you. Again, when you don't want it, it just moves out of your mind. You bring in other thoughts. So that directed thinking you have, committed, purposeful living you will have. नहीं तो बस होता जा रहा है, पता नहीं क्या होता जा रहा है. So you see, योग एक ऐसा method है which puts you in charge of your life. This is a possibility if you work on these faculties of your mind. See this cogitating aspect which I told you. इस पर अगर आप थोड़ा सा काम करो, if you bring clarity to your thought process, you see your manas will start functioning in a particular way. तब ये these unnecessary anxieties, fears, ये सब होता है ना, emotional insecurities, sitting and brooding over something, gossip, all this will go out of your life. क्योंकि my thought process, I have no time to waste on all this. आप जो संकल्प विकल्प हो रहा है आपके मन में, that is purposeful, goal oriented. I have no time to waste on this kind of things. This will come naturally, this seriousness will come into your life. Thoda sa you must pay attention to your thought process. I am telling you, conscious thought process. That itself goes and becomes your memory. That itself goes into the subconscious, it becomes your memory. So once your manas starts functioning in a very conscious way, you become more alert and alive, awake as it were. Vivekananda हमेशा कहते थे, what did he used to say? Arise awake and stop not till the goal is reached. So you must become alive to the depths of your being. इसी को मानुष कहते हैं. One who has awakened to the depths of his being, जिसके मन में होश आया है, वो है मानुष, मनुष्य. Otherwise you are half like sleepwalking, you know. Not at all aware, not at all conscious of what is happening, just drifting through life. So then life will take you anywhere. So understand each of these faculties, you can bring it into your hand. This second one which I said was after manas buddhi, the determinative faculty. This should absolutely be in your hand, isn't it? When you want to apply your mind, you should be able to apply. Suppose something is not good for you, not useful to you, you must be able to turn your mind away from it. नहीं हो रहा है तो हो रहा है, अब I have no hand in the matter. It's not like that. The buddhi should be so fine, refined and committed. It stays on what you want to achieve. And then you have this ahankar. इस पर थोड़ा सा तत्वज्ञान चाहिए इसके बारे में, because you must understand what the I means. Have you thought about it any time seriously? The I which you are trying to build up, which is very important. It's the functional entity in this world, the interactional entity in this world. What is it about? What does it signify? What is the permanent aspect of it? या फिर the changing things only I am calling I. You see, you were a baby, you were an infant, then you became a young person. Your body is constantly changing. Your mind is changing all the time. So what is the I? एक permanency है क्या उसके बारे में? This naturally should come to us. So understanding the ego sense in depth, it is part of the learning process. Don't think it is some special योग वेदांत जो हम आपको बोल रहे हैं. It is part of learning process, because if your I reflects on itself, you will become a very mature adult. You understand? It is not just messed up, or you can say entangled with unnecessary things. If your I is entangled with unnecessary identities, you know, जब peer pressure होता है, you may just identify with the thought currents of your friend, whether they are good or not. So your identity is invested in your affection to your friend. So ऐसे identities, they may not be useful to you. Or that day, as he said, you are identified with some celebrity. Your sense of identity will be very clear, very firm, only if it has reflected upon itself. Please see this. थोड़ा सा इसके बारे में ओरिजिनल ज्ञान होना चाहिए. कोई सिखा नहीं सकता. क्यों नहीं सिखा सकते? आपका परिचय क्या है ये आपको ही समझना चाहिए ना. Can anybody tell you who you are? Can I tell you who you are? So this entire research is personal and original. You must first of all doubt this sense of I. Try to see what is the permanent thing about it, and dive a little inside. See what is the permanent aspect of you, what is unchanging through all experiences, and you will naturally step into Vedanta. क्योंकि वेदांत का सार यही है, वो इस अहम तत्व का the मूल, the root, the source of it is tracking. So I will not go into this Vedanta just now, but towards the end of this talk we will go a little into it. What I am trying to tell you is, all of these different faculties are available to you at any given point of time. थोड़ा उस पर विचार करना है. This is the key to mind management. Look at the last faculty, what we call Chittam. Chitta, that is your memory bank. All your conscious experiences have gone into the subconscious, unconscious, and become your memories. And they pop up anytime. And you suddenly feel, ये चिंता कहाँ से आई? This thought came from where? At once upon a time it was your conscious thought. You put it into your subconscious. Now it's popping up again. So most of your thoughts are like that, they are memories. Please check and see just now. They are coming from what you have fed previously through the conscious mind. Conscious mind works like a gate. What you put in will go in. What you stop will stop. If you allow something to go in, it will go and settle in the subconscious. After some time, it will come out as memory. So this, your memory bank, is another huge aspect of you. And you are interpreting life's experiences through these faculties. So इन पर थोड़ा hold आना चाहिए. योग यही करता है. See, the very first श्लोक, sutra of Yoga Sutras. Patanjali Yoga Sutra सुना होगा आपने? What is the very first sutra say? Yogastu Chitta Vritti Nirodh. Very good. It is stopping the vrittis of the mind, stopping thought. Why should you stop thought? Why should you? Because if I am identified with the thought process, what will happen? It will just carry me away. If just suppose you are angry, if you are totally identified with your anger will blow you away first, and then the person in front of you also. But if you are a little distant from that anger, you are seeing it. मेरे मन में जो हो रहा है वो मैं देख पा रही हूँ. If this is your experience, neither will you get blown away by your anger nor the person in front of you. In fact, anger will not manifest. समझ में आ रहा है? Why? You have created a distance between you and the thought process. ये संभव है ना? ये होता है ना? You see, in any situation, if you are identified with that particular emotion, that particular thought, then you are under the spell of that thought. If you refuse to be identified with it, if you are seeing it as you see anything else, as you are seeing the screen, if you are a little distant from it, then you can control it. You can control its effects. So that is why Yogastu Chitta Vritti Nirodh. Stop thought for some time. See the thought process as a witness. यही बोल रहे हैं उस सूत्र में. You are always the witness. By mistake, occasionally you get identified. This is the truth about your mind. हमेशा आप विटनेस ही हो, साक्षी हो, आपके मन के वृत्तियों के साक्षी हो. लेकिन because this training is not given to you, training in yoga, you quickly go and identify with many things. And then your intelligence works to protect that identity. आपकी जो बुद्धि शक्ति है ना, entirely it goes and tries to protect that identity. So what happens is, you are protecting something, defending something which you are not sure of. Yoga will clear all this entire realm of action taking place in your mind. ये सब part of कर्म योग है. आप सोचिए मत ये कुछ और योग है. Because until you transcend mind, everything you are doing is karma. Even the thought process. Until samadhi is reached, everything is karma. Subtler and subtler karma, you can say. More and more refined karma. So, yoga is, in the preliminary of yoga is, it is teaching you how to remain distant from the thought process so that you are able to control it, so that you take charge over it. Once you take charge over it, anger management कोई बड़ी चीज होगी क्या? It will become natural to you. You know anger is arising, you know you have to control it in this situation. Immediately you will not talk something. You will not get angry and ferocious. Stress कोई problem होगा क्या? You know you are getting stressful, you will learn to relax naturally. You will know how to manage your time naturally. If you have control over mind, everything else follows. If you have no control over the mind, things will drive you. ये drive बहुत बड़ा शब्द है psychology में. You are actually driven. फिर आप कहोगे कि मुझसे नहीं ये हो पाता, concentration नहीं हो रहा है, time management नहीं है, so go to the counselor. So get a little hold over yourself. You will see how magically your life will change. Intelligence means becoming more and more aware. And being able to control this equipment well. That is real intelligence. So this is what we understand by time management and mind management. There are ways to do this, and one of the best ways to do this is on an everyday basis applying your mind to a little yoga. ये बहुत बड़ा कर्म है. Just like how you do any other work, 5 minutes a day, morning hours you can apply to yoga. So the technique will be taught to you. Once you get a hold over this, you know any work you generate will have the stamp of a calm mind, which means complete clarity will be there. If this is not there, clarity nahi rehti, either in your work or your speech or your thought process. If there is no clarity, what does that mean? There is only confusion. आपने micro managers देखे हैं workplace में? There are some people who are micro management experts, which means they want to control every single thing about any action, about any project. And they create all problems due to that. They will never delegate work completely to them. If a boss is a micromanager, you are in for a terrible situation, because what he will do is he wants everything to go by him. He cannot delegate responsibility. He will want to fix everything. Suppose you have to do a project paper, he will decide the font size and the kind of design. He will not allow you to do anything. Everything has to go by him. And in his method, the know-how is entirely his. And he will enforce actions upon you. So what does all this do? It actually snubs your creativity, and you are not able to participate in anything. So micromanagement has its place. To perfect a job, you must be able to manage the very details of it, but you cannot impose those details on others. So when you are a leader, if you are a micromanager, it creates a kind of negative situation in the workplace. If you are not able to control your mind, many times you become a micromanager. ये देखा है आपने? Because the mind is so restless, the person will constantly want to, they will keep, it's called checking in to their employees. They want to check into everything, and they will direct every job that is to be done at the workplace. And everything has to run by them, it has to be done the right way, they cannot motivate people, they are indecisive. So ये सब problems क्यों होते हैं? देखिए, indecision is another example you can take for, it is the result of bad mind management. The Nishayatmika Antakarana Vritti is not fixed at all. So you are indecisive. So how will you lead a group if you are like this? This is the difference between good leaders and bad leaders. You see, a good leader is basically very composed, sure of himself, completely confident. Why? Thought process is so clear. Plans are so clear in the mind. Project is so clear. He knows how to have it done. And this clarity is not there in a bad leader, in a mere micromanager. And that is why that creates a vast difference. If mind management has become a habit with you, you will be calm, composed, collected at any given moment of time. So it will show in your work. And that naturally leads to leadership qualities. Look at these differences which I have put here between good leaders and bad leaders. These are key differences. Good leaders will concentrate on results. Bad leaders will worry about status. Good leaders will hold people accountable. Bad leaders are, well, they themselves are not accountable. So they just want to be popular or want to be well accepted. The entire striving is for that. Good leaders will strive to be clear. They know that is the key to success. Clarity of your thought process. Bad leaders have a need to be right. Good leaders will encourage dialogue. Bad leaders will prevent dialogue. Why? Your dialogue, your speech shows the clarity, isn't it? Then good leaders engender trust, but bad leaders won't do that. They aren't vulnerable. So you see, there's a marked difference between the two ways of working. If you have brought your mind under control, naturally you will generate very high leadership qualities. And without that, you are working at something which somehow you are managing it. So a leader of a group cannot manage like that. आपको leadership skills सीखने हैं, you must first work out on yourself. The entire process of yoga, it is changing the subjective mechanism in order to achieve great objective results, isn't it? So a little work on that is required. You see, the fundamentals of core leadership skills for every career, this is something you must know. First thing is self-awareness, that is why. Look at the slide. Understand your strengths and weaknesses, identify gaps in your skills. You must be well acquainted with yourself. Then you will know how to handle any situation. Self-awareness is the very first thing. Have you ever seen a restless leader or a leader who is completely off balance? Then you don't call him a leader, he may just be a boss, screaming and shouting and trying to boss over others. Self-awareness, calmness, this is the first thing. Then communication skills, you are clear about everything. You see, write clearly, speak with clarity, and always use active listening behaviors. Listening also is part of communication. Do you know that? Do you listen properly? अभी अभी देखो, सुन रहे हो या और कहीं है मन? Ability to listen is a great art. Listening means absorbing. If you listen with complete concentration, you are actually taking the thing in, soaking it in. So develop this art. It's a way of learning. And then influence, communication, communicate your vision, align the efforts of others and build commitment at all levels. All this is very good, but remember your influence, finally the influence you assert on others is due to your well developed personality. अगर ये चीज़ lacking हो, no matter how much you try, you don't know what kind of influence you're casting. The very sight of you should bring that reliability in people. अगर ऐसी personality बन जाए, you will be a natural leader anywhere. Then learning agility. You know, great leaders are always learners. You read their lives, the lives of all these great people whom we have been discussing. They were, everyday basis they were learning. Because the mind has been kept free to grow. It has not got enmeshed in unnecessary things. So learning is constant with them. Be in a learning mode, value and seek out the lessons of experience when needed. They are on an everyday basis learning. He alone can be a great teacher who can be a great student. Please know this. You must be able to give your mind that scope to be constantly in the learning mode. So all these are fundamental characteristics of leadership which you should know. It is entirely dependent upon, आप देखिए, mind management. All of these are mental faculties, isn't it? Self awareness, communication skills, influence you assert, learning agility, it's all to do with your mind. ये भी बोल रहे हैं, mind management is the one essential thing to shine in life. अगर इसको ignore कर दो, you are just adjusting the outside, adjusting your employees, your colleagues, your workplace, that alone is not enough. So this is the basic thing which you have to know in developing leadership skills. Now, after this, let's go into the types of karma that we are capable of. I am not going to talk about career options. You can go to any website and learn about that. That's not what I am going to talk about here. But you must know from this personality, from the subjective end, what is the kind of karma you can create. First of all is physical karma, yes. Then I told you mental karma, even mental processes, thought processes are also karma. Through your will you generate karma, through any of your faculties, mental faculties, you can generate karma. And so there are, you can say, different types of karma. Like for example, you might have heard, ये सब शब्द हैं हिंदी में, अन्नदान है. जब आप कुछ करते हो in the form of giving food, you call it अन्नदान. Then there is विद्यादान, है ना? You see, it is good to feed a child food, but it is better to help him learn something so that he earns his own food, isn't it? So Vidyadan is there. Then there is Jnanadan, which means you are able to give a level of knowledge by which you solve the existential problems of life. So by which a person gets the ability to do whatever he wants to do. This training is Jnana. So like this, different forms of contribution, different forms of karma can be done. The genius, the important thing about karma is a real genius of a yogi will convert anything that comes into his ambit into yoga. इसका मतलब यही है कि whatever comes into your life, you see, whether you are an engineer, whether you are a manager, whether you are just now you are a student, anything that comes into your life, you must have the intelligence to convert it into yoga. उसी को ऐसे करना है कि our mind is able to remain at a particular level due to that. It is able to enhance us. It is able to elevate us. If you are able to do that, then you are a real genius, I would say. Because this is the nature of a yogi, you know, anything that comes into his life, he is able to convert it to yoga. इसलिए ऐसी बात नहीं है what type of work we do. Any work coming into your life can be used to enhance your life. इसके लिए बहुत सुंदर stories are there in our culture. I will just tell you one which Vivekananda says in his Karma Yoga lectures. Just pay attention to this story because it has great lessons to teach us. What do we mean when we say any work can be done as a yoga? योग का मतलब अभी तक आपने क्या समझा था? To go and sit in a mountain cave or to sit at least in a shrine, that is yoga. Now you must change your thinking. There is office yoga, there is laboratory yoga, there is yoga at the sports field. ये सभी योग है. If you are doing it with a particular state of mind, with a particular attitude, any of this can become yoga. How? You see, the story is like this. There is a young yogi, a sannyasin, who did a lot of austerity in a forest, and as a result of his austerity, he developed some yogic powers. So क्या हुआ, वो एक दिन बैठे थे एक पेड़ के नीचे, and some dry leaves fell on his head, and with a certain amount of anger, he looked up and he saw a crow and a crane fighting there on the tree. And because of the anger in his mind, it generated a certain amount of heat and it burnt up the two birds and they fell down. Now the yogi was very happy and proud and in fact overjoyed कि ऐसी मेरी शक्ति अब हो गई है कि I can do all this. This is a kind of yogic power. So I have grown that much in yoga. So with this pride, then he came out. He went out for begging. वही एक village था, वहाँ पर गए वो, and he called out at the first house, "Mother, give me something." And then a voice came from inside that house please wait my son, I will come in a few minutes. Now when he was waiting there, he suddenly thought, what, this woman is making me wait, I am such a great yogi, I burnt up those 2 birds with just my sight and she is making me wait like this, she doesn't know how great I am. This thought came into his mind and he kept waiting. After some time the lady came out and she said, look my son, I had my duties to do, my husband was sick, I was serving him, don't think I am that crow and crane, you can't burn me down like that. And then the yogi was very surprised, कि इनको कैसे पता चला? How did she come to know that I did that? Then he asked her, mother, but how did you come to know? And then she said, see my son, I have not practiced your kind of yoga, austerities in the forest, postures and meditation, I have not practiced that. I have just been very sincere to my duties as a housewife. I have been very sincere. Before I was married, I served my parents with all my heart. After I got married, I served this household with all my heart. Just now my husband is sick, I was serving him. This sincerity and service, this karma alone has brought me the fruit of knowledge. I am able to know what is going on in every mind. And then this yogi was very surprised, what kind of a knowledge is this? Sirf karma karne se ho jata hai, and this ordinary karma? So he told her, tell me more about this. And then she said, you see there is one person in such and such a market, you go and meet him and he will tell you more about this karma yoga. So ye sannyasi wahan jate hain and he sees that that person whom she had indicated, he is sitting there, he is a vyad. Vyad pata hai? A hunter, a butcher actually. He is sitting and cutting meat. This story comes in the Mahabharat. व्याद गीता बोल के एक सेक्शन है, बहुत सुंदर है. तो वहाँ पर ये स्टोरी आती है. A butcher teaches this sannyasin. As soon as the sannyasi sees the butcher, he feels, इससे मैं क्या सीखने वाला हूँ? This person is like such a demon and sitting and cutting meat. What can I learn from him? But this Vyad, as soon as the yogi goes there, he says, come, come, did she send you? Then he says, how did you come to know? Then he said, well, we come to know through our duty. We come to know through our everyday work. That itself has generated so much of clarity in our mind. I come to know of everything. Please sit down. And then he explained to him the whole of Karma Yoga. Sirf karma se how you can reach the highest siddhis. Do your duty to perfection with detachment, with complete commitment and sincerity. It will take you to the highest. Yahi hai Vyad Gita. So you see, where is detachment? Detachment means what? It doesn't mean not working. It doesn't mean insensitivity to work. It means removing your will from the ego. Working for the good of others without bringing yourself into the picture. And what is renunciation? It doesn't mean running away from home. It only means you are not working for the ego. कहीं भागने की जरूरत नहीं है. If the will again is detached from the ego, that is renunciation. All these simple lessons you will learn. Your everyday work can take you to a very high level. उसको करने का तरीका समझना चाहिए. This is कर्म योग. स्वकर्मणा तमभ्यर्च सिद्धिं विन्दति मानवः. भगवद गीता कहती है. स्वकर्मणा, with your everyday duty, you can worship the Almighty. पूजा का मतलब यही नहीं है सिर्फ मंदिर में जाके कुछ चढ़ाना. With your everyday work, what you are doing in your lab, what you are doing on your laptop, with that you can worship the Lord. In fact, that is the worship of the immanent Lord. आपको पता है, we have two, आप अगर वेद वेदांत पढ़ो ना, two aspects of God are given. One is the transcendental aspect, that God, maybe you have deified him in a deity in the temple and you think that worship alone is worship, but he is actually distributed entirely in his creation. The consciousness in each one of you, which is shining in your eyes, that is the immanent aspect of God. Tat srishtva tadeva anupravishat. When you serve another person, you are actually worshipping the God in him. यही बन जाती है ना philosophy फिर. When you serve another person, what are you actually doing? You are worshipping the God in him. So please see this, कर्म योग एक ऐसा मार्ग है Just by work done in a particular dedicated spirit, it can take you to the very highest in human life. So ये कोई छोटा योग नहीं है, ऐसा नहीं है, this is a stepping stone to the other yogs. Although many times it is interpreted like that. If it is done with the right attitude, instantly it will take you to the highest. Like you see in these stories, a common housewife, a butcher, talking of the highest knowledge. हमारे mission में, I don't know if you know, very many activities take place. And there are schools for slum children, poor children, there are hospitals for poor people. And you know, in all these hospitals and everything, actually the rogis, the people who are who have the disease, they are worshipped like God. The seva itself is worship. And one of the stalwarts of this order, Raja Maharaj, he used to say that, Turiyananji Maharaj has said this, that in 3 days if you do perfect nishkam karma, it will bring you the realization of God. If 3 days you can worship perfectly through karma yoga, theek attitudes, it will get you the highest knowledge. So you see, this karma is a very powerful path. Even if your aim is not the highest spiritual knowledge, whatever you want to attain in this life, it is possible if your karma ki shakti aapke piche ho. If you are doing work anyhow with a mindset which is not committed, with the mind completely out of control, then fulfillment is not, success is not possible anywhere. Please see this. So many such things are there. Vivekananda ek jagah pe kehte hain, it is not the receiver who is blessed but the giver. You get the point? Be thankful that you are allowed to exercise your power of benevolence and mercy in this world and thus become pure and perfect. In fact, the very purpose of work is this, it changes you. If it is done with the attitude of a karma yogi, it is going to change you. Vivekananda kehte the, this world is a moral gymnasium where we come to take exercise and become stronger spiritually, stronger and stronger. I remember when in Bangalore center we have a slum school, और उस slum school में जो बच्चे आते हैं उनके लिए हम कुछ provide करते हैं, either breakfast or brunch, something like this, so that many times they are not able to have breakfast and come. So we usually used to put a list, and donors, that is devotees who used to come, they would fill up, on this particular day I will provide for breakfast, I will provide brunch or something, whatever, fruit, milk. So they would put it down. Usually we expected that next week's thing would be filled up, but you know, usually 1 month's entire thing was filled up, which means everybody wanted to contribute. There was not a single day when we had to ask, whatever it is, the amount was 4,000, 5,000 for that particular day's breakfast. We didn't have to ask anybody because people contribute. Kyun contribute karte hain? Because instinctively we know, it is only when you contribute, it is only when you give that you grow. Karma siddhanta yahi hai. Ki the more you are able to contribute, the more you will have fulfillment. I told you, hard work doesn't bring about exhaustion. It brings about liberation. It brings fulfillment because energy hai kis liye. So make all this a habit. The thoughts which you are gathering here, it should become part of your thinking. Well, the thoughts I am giving you are from Vivekananda's Karma Yoga. So with this, let us now go into traditionally the 3 types of karma that are there. देखिए, कर्म सिद्धांत बहुत misinterpret हुआ है. So you must have this knowledge also. Traditionally, karma siddhanta kya hai? This will be very useful to you. Although I am not going to go deep into afterlife and transmigration and all that, because NRCV wants that we keep it in a scientific paradigm. We will not go too much into all that, but certain basic things you should know. There are 3 types of karma traditionally. आपने सुना होगा संचित, प्रारब्ध और क्रियमाण, आगामी कर्म. सुना है ये शब्द? देखिए, all the karma which you have done so far over many lives, all the good, bad, whatever you have done, physical karma, mental karma, all that put together, the sum total is called sanchita karma. ये कहीं जैसे आपका capital समझो, it is stocked somewhere. Now in this particular life, a slice of that sanchita karma is given to you. It is activated part of the sanchita karma which you have to exhaust in this life. इसी को हम प्रारब्ध कहते हैं. बहुत बार लोग बोलते हैं ना कि ये तो मेरे प्रारब्ध में लिखा है, ये मेरा प्रारब्ध है. It is that karma which has been given to you to be exhausted in this life. देखिए आप अपनी situation सोच के देखो. Did you choose the circumstances of your birth or your family? Did you choose? What parents you will have? Did you choose? How your face will look? Did you choose? So who chose all this? How come you are like this? And this particular environment, किसने choose किया? This is prarabdha karma. A slice of your sanchita given to you to experience in this life. And beyond this prarabdha karma, see, something called a free will has been installed into you, at least a semblance. Isn't it? A notion of free will has been installed. If using that, if you take the right decisions of your life and do good work, what will happen? You set into motion what is called kriyamana karma, the third karma, traditional karma, through which you can change the situations of your life for the better. Isn't it? Through your decisions, through your choices, you create a better life, a better future. So using this ability of kriyamana karma, the free will, you are able to change prarabdha. And if you do it intense enough, you can even change sanchita karma. Which means what? The key to change is in your hands. If you will rightly, choose, and your intention is right, your choices are good, your work will be good. If your work is good, you will be accepted. You will be in a leadership position. You will be successful here. So you gradually change your prarabdha for the better, isn't it? And you do it intense enough, even the entire stock of your, see, prarabdha was like, you can say, the interest given to you on your capital. A monthly interest you get for whatever capital you have deposited in a bank. So that monthly interest is somewhat like your prarabdha given to you in this life. Through your will, you can change the course of your life. Through your decisions and actions. So this is in your hands. इसी को क्रियमान कर्मा कहते हैं. So you see this traditionally why this karma theory is given. You know why they trace causation. By tracing causation, they are empowering you to fashion your destiny, to carve your destiny. That is why the karma theory is there. If you misinterpret it to mean, oh, जो होने वाला है सो होगा, मुझे कुछ नहीं करना है. It is all written in my fate. And if somebody is suffering, you say, oh, uska karma hai. This is all misinterpretation of karma theory. Why has this karma siddhanta been given to you? So that by tracing causation, you are able to empower yourself to change and fashion your destiny by yourself. इसी के लिए कर्म सिद्धांत है. And this is how you must use it. You understand, many times for centuries, in fact, collectively we have misinterpreted karma theory. So let that not happen again. It is something. It is a tool meant to empower you. Please understand this. Let me give you an example here. आप सोच के देखो the case of Arjun and Karna in Mahabharata. You see how prarabdha and kriyamana karma have worked. Both of them were of divine descent, isn't it? But Arjun came in such favorable environment, and Karna had to struggle right from infanthood. But still, he grew up with a charioteer. जब उनको पता चला कि वो कौंतेय है, राधेय नहीं है, still you see his will was always fixed, and using his energy and his actions, he became the king of Anga. Even when he came to know that he is the son of Kunti, he did not budge from his stand. He was a great man. Only thing is, at the end, he should have dedicated all that capacity and character at the feet of the Lord. But he didn't do that. Whatever it is, आप देखिए कैसे प्रारब्ध और क्रियमान कर्मा काम करते हैं, अपना काम करते हैं. Are you getting the point? Through his ability, through his actions, his intent, his concentration, he built up a great life, Karna, isn't it? Otherwise, he came in such terrible circumstances, the circumstances of his birth. So what I am trying to tell you is, you see how these three karmas work in our lives. It is possible for you to change the course of your life now and in the future through these karmas, through the power of these karmas. Kriyaman karma is actually in your hand. Using it as a powerful tool, you can change prarabdha and sanchita. Now see for yourself how you are able to do it. If you actually read the lives of great people, जैसे for example the life of Gautam Buddha, आपने जतका टेल्स पढ़े हैं? हाँ, छोटी उम्र में पढ़े होंगे. Every Jataka tale is a life, one of the lives of this Buddha, previous lives, जिसमें उन्होंने इतना अच्छा कर्म किया है. It is a life of sacrifice and dedication and service. The cumulative effect of all this was the creation of a Buddha finally. There is enormous, great karma, karmic backpack you can say, which is responsible for higher realization. Without this standby and without this backup of great karma, you cannot progress spiritually. So please understand, this is a very important thing which we are discussing. One more thing which you should know here is why we misinterpreted karma. जिससे अभी हम ये ना करें. Let this never again become a kind of a philosophy with us. If you see suffering and if you say वो उसका कर्म है, you know what you are doing? You are generating enormous negative karma for yourself. This is not the purpose of karma theory. Karma theory should only empower you, should only make you go forth and help others. A karma yogi's predisposition is like that. If a child is begging, isn't that an insult to whole humanity? Think and see. Your blood should boil when you see a child beg. Namby-pamby people cannot become karma yogis. To become karma yogi, you must have such a solid will and an intent which is all consuming, which is totally committed to the good of others. तभी आप कर्म योगी बन सकते हो. The whole life, the surge of life energy in you is meant for that. Then you can become a karma yogi. Vivekananda ऐसे थे, आपको पता है? That is why he was a Vivekananda. Intense feeling for others. Intense commitment to do good to others. He used to say, they alone live who live for others. The rest are more dead than alive. You are not alive until you are able to make such a contribution to the lives of others. अपने आप अपने individuality में रहने का क्या glory है? बोलिए आप. You don't even know what that individuality means. At one point Vivekananda says, do you feel, you just look at these words, they are his own words, so they are very powerful. He says, do you feel that millions and millions of the descendants of gods and sages have become next door neighbors to brutes? Do you feel that millions have been starving for ages and millions are starving today? Do you feel that ignorance has descended upon this land like a dark cloud? Does it make you restless? Does it make you sleepless? As a result, have you forgotten all about your name, your fame, your wives and children, your properties, even your bodies? That is the first step, the very first step to become a patriot. Patriotism का नाम ही है ये. You are completely out of the picture. The entire life force is going towards the welfare of humanity. And then Vivekananda says, for the next 50 years, forget all these vain gods. This is the only worship now that there is, the worship of the Virat, the immanent God, consciousness shining through all living beings. You worship him through service. This is Karma Yoga. It is worship इसीलिए. दूसरों के लिए काम करना वही पूजा है. कर्म ही पूजा है. कर्म और पूजा दो अलग चीजें नहीं हैं. Starting point you may say, well, work is one thing, worship is another thing. Work and worship. Slowly you will see work as worship. Finally you will see work is worship. So this is the great philosophy of Karma Yoga which our scriptures are giving us. इस पर थोड़ा आपको attention देना ही है. आप याद रखना, in your life Karma Yoga will play a major part. दूसरा योग आप कितना करेंगे I don't know. But you are committed to, in a way, working for long hours. So make some such philosophy your own so that you know how to proceed in life. You have something great to connect with all the time. सो विवेकानंद का कर्मयोग थोड़ा एटलीस्ट आपको पढ़ना चाहिए. इट्स अ स्मॉल बुक. Try to get it and read it. Then after this, एक स्थान में तो you see Vivekananda used to get very emotional about this because he just wanted to lash up everybody, awaken them to the need to work. For centuries we have been sleeping. आपने Indian history पढ़ी है? Why we suffered the invasions, why we suffered so a kind of slavery for 1000 years, misinterpretation of karma theory. Because yoga requires a certain amount of stillness in your system, you apply that to work also. That, well, there no need to work. This is a totally wrong outlook or a totally wrong philosophy of life. If you are not prepared to work, you are not going anywhere. Please remember this. Collectively, we sort of misinterpreted karma theory and we had to suffer for it. So, एक जगह पे तो विवेकानंद कहते हैं, may I be born again and again and suffer 1,000 miseries that I may worship the only God I believe in, the sum total of all souls, and above all my God the wicked, my God the afflicted, my God the poor of all nations. This is the special object of my worship. किसने कहा है अभी तक my God the wicked? See, this is the spirit of the karma yogi. So, all these great ideas you must capture and make it your vision, your philosophy of life. Then तभी सार्थक होगा कर्म योग यहाँ पढ़ना. Now we will go into a few more things. See, at one point I had told you 3 effects of karma. Connected ideas I am giving you, so try to catch them. See, these are the 3 effects of karma which I have told you already in one session. One is, whenever you perform any action, there is an external effect, a physical change due to the action upon which you have to keep an eye so that your work is perfect. Then there is an internal change which is the creation of sanskar due to the action, which creates your character basically, because character is nothing but the sum total of your sanskars. And the third effect which you can't see, what is called karmashaya, is the cosmic effect, the unseen effect of which is of the nature of recompense or retribution. इसका मतलब क्या है? What is this third effect? देखिए, हम जो कर्माशय कह रहे हैं ना, that is nothing but potential कर्म फल. अभी अभी हमने जो संचित कर्मा we studied, this संचित कर्मा is nothing but the collection of your कर्म फल done over so a long period of time. The total amount of karma which you have done becomes your, the entire karma fal becomes your sanchit karma. So, you see, this third effect of any karma goes to get you your sanchit karma and become, a slice of that becomes your prarabdha. It again enters your life in different ways. So, yaad rakhiye, this is a law which nobody can deviate from. Nobody can actually get out of this, outstep this law, because it is a law. It is causation theory. It is the connection between cause and effect. The force you have put into motion is going to come back to you. So, put forth such forces, such positive forces, that life becomes all positive, always. This is in your hands. It should give you the seriousness to do this. That is why karma siddhant hai. Somehow leading life, anyhow leading life. You know, people who are very corrupt don't mind being corrupt. So, ऐसे लोगों को the seriousness of the karma siddhant has not come into their lives. Exactly what you are going to do to others is going to come back to you. Sometime, some place, somewhere, somehow. ये seriousness आना चाहिए life में. What you sow, that you are going to reap. Now, we will go into the how to overcome the effects of karma. See, whatever past karma has been generated, you can overcome it by good karma now. ये समझ में आ रहा है? So long, this is what we have been discussing, that through your will, through your actions, you can change the course of your life, isn't it? By willing rightly, you can change the course of your life. You see, if you have wound a particular thread like this, you can unwind it like this, isn't it? So, if you generate a lot of positive karma, it helps counteract negative karma. इसीलिए तो प्रायश्चित एक शब्द है, लोग करते हैं ना प्रायश्चित. Why do they do it? They want to get rid of some bad past karma. There are ways to overcome karma. In the second session, I think second and third session also, I told you about the yogic way of understanding karma. क्या था वो? Do you remember? What is what are all our problems due to? If you say karma, then actually basically they are due to kleshas. You remember we had discussed this. They are 5 in number: rag, dvesh, bhay, asmita and avidya. The source is avidya that generates rag, attachment, dvesh, hatred, bhay, fear, asmita, the undeveloped ego sense. The source of all this is avidya. So the yogic system, how it sees how to get out of this karma chakra is to destroy these kleshas, to reduce them to the what they call tanu karana state, means a state where they become completely deactivated. How can you reduce fear to that state? Just think and see. Or any emotion, how can you reduce that? By replacing it with good emotions. Pratipaksha bhavanam is a very huge theory of Patanjali Yoga Sutras. इसका मतलब है जब negative feelings मन में आते हैं, see practically this is how it will be useful to you. You must have the power to remove the negativity, convert them into positive emotions. Suppose somebody shouts at you, will you shout back? What will be your immediate reaction? What will happen if you shout back? Everybody will be shouting. That's the end of the solution. But if you pause and although you know that person is yelling at you, still you remain calm and with a smile you tell the cause for the problem, that person will have the sense to listen at least. Nothing happens by shouting back, isn't it? Pratipaksha bhavana mane yahi hai, if a negative thought arises in your mind, change it immediately, replace it with a positive thought. This is a possibility. When is it a possibility? If you are aware, self-aware. If you are only identified with a negative thought, this is not possible. इसीलिए मैंने कहा थोड़ा सा योग जीवन में लाना चाहिए. Then what happens? Anger arises, I can see it, so I will handle it properly. I have not become anger. I have not become like a volcano myself. Any negative emotion arising in the mind, I can see it objectively, and that is why I can handle it. So this is the yogic way of getting rid of negative karmas, all this, because you see basically they are due to your this negative affective aspect, negative emotions. All of these you see, rag, dvesh, bhay, they are all negative emotions. You can replace them, make this your habit. आपके जीवन में negativity नहीं आएगी. If you make this a habit, if you are constantly negative and over egoistic and only trying to put down others, talking ill of others, don't think you can, your own mind, you cannot live in that mind. After some time you want to step out of that mind. This is the cause for depression. You have brought in too much of negativity into the mind. So learn this replacement technique. It is possible to do this. Constantly on an everyday basis, feel the goodness of life, the glory of great emotions in your mind. This is how you develop your life step by step. Feel this attitude of witness जो मैं बोल रही हूँ. Yogically you can actually step back from the mind and see it for what it is. It gives so much of refreshment within actually, you know. It renews your life energies. To be in the same mind which is full of negative mental blocks, it's a terrible experience actually. है ना? See, immediately you are able to relate with this idea because this is what is happening. Because of lack of training in yoga, we are not able to bear with our minds. है ना? So, यहाँ पर solutions दे रहे हैं आपको one by one. Bring this into your life. On an everyday basis, you will be renewing yourself. You will be refreshing yourself. फिर इतने entertainment की ज़रूरत नहीं पड़ेगी. All the time you are alert, alive. The more alive you are, the more happy you will be. This kind of synthetic joy is not required. Naturally you are joyous. Look at little children bubbling with joy. Isn't it? तो एक तरीका है इसमें आने का. So this is the yogic way of overcoming the dismantling the karmic structure, you can say. How? By handling the experiences in your mind. Whatever negativities, replace them with positivities. Yes.
And what is the karma behind a newborn baby? Death of a newborn baby.
You see, this is a question which I will answer after this class, because just now we are covering a portion. I will answer it after this class. Okay. The thing is, the way to the yogic method actually aims at generating awareness. Please understand this. जब आप thought process को stop करते हो, do you vanish from the place, from the experience? You remain over as what? As awareness. Please see this. So if you have generated this higher awareness, you can control any thought process. ये जो negativities हमारे mind में होते हैं, the way to control them is to remain as the awareness. Always mind itself means thoughts dancing upon awareness. Thought को आपने इतना importance दे दिया, you forgot about the awareness portion. So yogic process is culturing this awareness, bringing it to the forefront so that you are able to handle the thought process. इससे you are able to handle karma very well. You can dismantle the karmic structure which is binding you. Then we will go to Vedant. Vedanta क्या कहता है? See, these ideas are very important to you. Just now you may not realize it. After some time, only this will become important. This will stand all important in your life. So let me give these ideas to you here just now. How Vedanta deals with karma, you know. It will ask fundamentally who is the doer. किस पर कर्म फल आ रहा है? Who is the experiencer? Who is the doer of action? Who are you? Basically. Who is the enjoyer of the action? Who is the experiencer of the action? Karta kaun hai, bhokta kaun hai? This is Vedanta. You must be able to track the real you. So for this, let me first show you some slides and then I will give you an illustration which will remain in your mind. See, for this we have to come, I asked you a fundamental question, who am I? Who are you? Who is the doer and experiencer of action? Now you must know the difference between Vedantic thinking and classical Greek thinking, Western thinking. You see, human personality paradigm according to Western psychology is dichotomous, body plus mind. So this is characteristic. You see, Platonic model was a human being is substance which is body, form, mind, and both perish after death. Aristotelian model was the same understanding but believed creative reason survived death. So basically man is, human personality is body plus mind. In fact, that is what you feel just now, isn't it? So this is the classical Greek model of human personality. Vedantic model, however, says you are body plus mind plus spirit, or what is called the Atman. This is the exclusive trichotomous model of human personality. Now, इसके लिए कोई proof है क्या that I am the Atman, consciousness, I am spirit itself? कोई proof है? Do you feel it? You see, just listen with great attention, otherwise you can't catch it. Do you feel awareness in your mind or not? Do you feel awareness or not?
If this Atman and mind and body will not be, that will affect you.
Yes. See, if you have a sense of yourself apart even from thought, and you always have that sense, you have not paid attention to it, I am telling you, your body and mind are as much an object to you as any other object here. As awareness, all the time you are existing as awareness. इसका क्या proof है? You see, there are so many proofs strewn in your own everyday experience. For example, if I tell you, if you stop thought, what remains over? Does anything remain over? Or nothing, कुछ भी नहीं रहता. A little yogic concentration and you will understand awareness, a kind of aliveness about you, self-awareness is always there. Thoughts come and move out of that. Thought is entering that awareness, going out of it. When it enters the awareness, you call it conscious thought. When it goes out, it becomes unconscious. But awareness is the fundamental reality of life. Do you see any sense in this? In fact, your I sense is totally disconnected from body, which so long you have thought is yours, is you. Your sense of I, आप देखिए ना, do you feel your age any time? You don't feel your age. Whether you are 10 or 20 or 40, you have to remember your age to feel it. If it becomes a thought, then you will feel, oh, I am 40 years old, or I am 30 years old, I am 20 years old. But your experience of life, it just bypasses your age, because it is, awareness cannot age, it has no age. How many clues are there? Just look at your experiences at any given moment of time. You are conscious of body only if you make yourself conscious of it. If you choose to identify, you become body conscious, not otherwise. Otherwise, you are only alive. This is your permanent experience at any given moment of time. Awareness is fundamental even to the thought process. Before you think, you are. If there is some problem in your body, maybe a stomach ache, are you able to know the why and how of it? No, some external instrument has to tell you. Isn't it? Doctor ke paas aap jate ho, he will take a CT scan or an endoscopy, something he will do and tell you what is the problem where. You are not able to know what is the problem where. Awareness is minimally invested in the body unless you choose it. Which means what? Your sense of aliveness, awareness has nothing to do with body, mind as such. They are instruments through which you are functioning. Are you able to grasp this? See, it is entirely based on personal experience. ये कोई theory नहीं मैं construct कर रही हूँ. Check and see if this is true or not. You have to check by yourself. Sit in silence for some moments and dwell on this and see, इसमें कोई सत्यता है या नहीं? Is this a possibility or not? There is no single entity which has for its coexistence both the I sense and the body. That is why I am the body idea has no basis in truth. This is the fact of your life. You have to find out by yourself, not because I am saying it or some scripture is saying it. See, check and see for yourself if this is true or not. If this is true, then this is what Vedanta is telling you. Your consciousness embodied, functioning through a body and mind. And the strong clues which they give you is, your existence is evident with or without body and mind. You see, even when you are not thinking, you are there. When you are not conscious of anything physical, you are there. Which means what? You are not merely body and mind. And through the three states of waking, dream and sleep, you are able to say something about the three states, which means you are apart from them. Consciousness is neither the waker, dreamer, nor the deep sleeper. So this we will go into a little later on. But basically you should know this fundamental difference is, Vedanta will tell you your consciousness functioning through a body and mind. You are not merely this body-mind complex. Now this creates this is huge implications, isn't it? Your idea of yourself is something very different, they are telling you. Now the implications of this will be enormous. A closer look at this is the Panchakosha model of Vedanta. इस पर आप नजर डालो. देखो at the core of your personality structure they say is the Atman, enshrouded by intellect, then mind, then life energies, then body. Now you are taking only body, prana and mind to be yourself. This is the fundamental error they tell you. So when a man dies, what exactly happens? This is a question which comes to all our minds, isn't it? What exactly is death? Body falls. The rest of you, if this is the model of you, of your personality, what happens to the rest of you? What happens to mind? It should go somewhere, no? When the body falls. See, I will give you a simple illustration. Now, don't pay attention to that image, just listen to this illustration. Suppose I keep a bucket of water in the afternoon, in the open, a bucket of water. The sun which is shining in the sky gets reflected in that bucket of water. Now, as an illustration, I will say this bucket is like your body. The water inside the bucket is your mind. the reflected sun in that water is your ego sense, your I sense. Now, if you consider your body to be this bucket, if the bucket starts leaking or gets damaged or something, then you will shift the entire water and that reflected sun along with it. The water basically you will shift into another bucket, isn't it? An empty bucket there, you will shift it there. So, you will say the water transmigrated, reincarnated in another bucket. If you think the body is like the bucket there, the body fell, so the water got transferred into another bucket. But tell me truly, if you are only that sun shining in the sky, consciousness, have you transmigrated? If you think you are the bucket, then well, bucket died, kicking the bucket only they say in English, है ना? Death को kicking the bucket ही कहते हैं. What exactly is death? This is what I am trying to tell you. Body falls, but the rest of you is carried over. The mind gets carried over. The mind, I said, is like the water in that bucket. And the reflected sun, your ego sense, the reflected awareness in your mind, that is also there in that second bucket. But the real you is none of this. It is the sun shining there. Your consciousness is ever present. Occasionally it gets identified with the body-mind complex, which means occasionally the light of the sun thinks it is in the bucket, in the water. This is how we are feeling we are just now. We feel hum is sharir mein hai na? Actually this body is nothing but a vritti in your consciousness, arising in your consciousness. Your experience of life is usually like this. आपने इस पर ध्यान ही नहीं दिया है किसी समय, इसीलिए this appears like a fantastic theory to you now. But think and see. एक illustration में देखे, I will finish this session. Did you catch the point what I am trying to say? If you think you are the bucket, yes, the bucket is left over and the water transmigrated to another bucket. So, reincarnation, afterlife, all this is real. The sun got reflected there also. Okay? It's a real experience. But if you are the real sun, none of this, then is there transmigration for you? Is there an afterlife? There is nothing of that sort. Vedanta tells you the real you is unchanging consciousness. That got reflected in the water of your mind and you started thinking, I am that reflection, that reflected sun. And it got identified with the bucket of water also, which is carrying that reflected sun. So then when that bucket gets damaged, you thought I died and you are shifted to another bucket. समझ में आ रहा है point? Actually nothing has happened. The real sun remains as it is. But इसको समझने के लिए, इसका अनुभव करने के लिए योग शक्ति चाहिए. अभी आपने, it is vritti ज्ञान in your mind. You are just understanding it through thoughts. This is not enough to get the experience of it. You need experience through योग. थोड़ा योग बल आ जाए जीवन में, you will see this is exactly the fact of life that they are speaking about. Your experience is always, first person experiences through the instrumentation of body and mind, which means you cannot be the body and mind merely. You are always consciousness functioning through this body and mind. So this knowledge, it comes only first hand, it will only come in the first person, it will only be perfectly original and real to you whenever it comes into you, because it's the fact about you at any given moment of time. So thoda sa योग आप जीवन में लाओ, Vedanta will become obviously true. उसको समझाने की भी जरूरत नहीं पड़ती है तब, because it's an obvious fact of my life. The truth about the I is consciousness alone. The rest is identification born truths, which are only temporary. है ना? Look at your thought forms. You always say they are my thoughts. You don't say they are me. Anger, hatred, love, whatever arises in your mind, they are your thoughts. Thoughts of whom? ये आई सेंस क्या है हम में, what is the unchanging element there? Only consciousness or pure awareness is unchanging. The rest is coming and going in that awareness. Because you have not been able to catch that consciousness, this whole thing appears to be real. So yahi ho raha hai. From the Vedantic standpoint, karma is a very low level theory, you can say. Because who is actually the karma phal bhokta? Only the body mind can at the most experience. There is no experience as such for consciousness. So you see, that's why it's a relative law, I told you. But it is important because 99% of us, except very high yogis, we are identified with the body mind complex. जब तक इस साक्षी का अनुभव ना हुआ हो, you will not understand karma theory in full. वेदांत का अनुभव जब तक ना हुआ हो. Until then we are identified with body mind, and so karma theory holds for us. It is a important law for us. Did you get the point? So we will stop here today. See, a little philosophical we have to get for karma theory, because otherwise you cannot grasp its entire implications. Some point in your life this will be useful to you. Let's stop here. Time is up.